Tell me who you are and where you was born.
Yeah, my name is Ruqsana Khan. I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, but obviously when I was born, my dad was then transferred to Nakuru. So most of my life I lived in Nakuru. Most of my education I completed there, and then at the age of 23, I moved back to Nairobi for better job perspectives, and because it was a city, and my dad was transferred back to Nairobi, and then we settled there. Got married in 98, yeah, and things didn't work out. We got divorced in 2008. Then moved back in with my parents. Then I met Anwar on Facebook. And we knew the families because they were also from Nakuru, and he got to know that I was single again, and he approached my dad and proposed. He came down to Kenya, and within a week we got married. Yeah, then we moved to the UK in 2012.
When you was born in Nairobi and you moved to Nakuru,
Yeah.
and you was there for many, many years.
Yes.
What can you tell me about life in Nakuru?
Oh, Nakuru was a very small town, very chilled out town. Very small community of the Asians, and you knew each and every household, literally. As Anwar also said, it was a very social town. People used to mingle in gurdwaras, mandirs, masjid, any functions. There were the Ismailis as well. So there was a lot of mingling on any function. All the doors were open to anyone. So every community knew one another. Likewise in schools as well, like the same friendship group, we had the Asians, we had the Africans. It was a very mixed culture, multicultural society. So very cosmopolitan, never felt out of place.
What type of school did you go to?
I went to a government school run by the government. It was not a private school. Majority were Africans. The Asians, the rich ones who could afford, they went to private schools, but we preferred going to the local schools. Education was brilliant, really high standard. I mean, we were taught really well. Discipline was always very high level, as Anwar mentioned. Beating and all that was part of it.
For the girls as well?
As well,
Okay.
yeah. I had a lot of it as well. Yeah. But it was just a norm. It was nothing abnormal for us to have the beating if you've not done your homework, you've not finished your tasks or anything. So that was something very normal to us. It was part of the discipline. Finished my primary school, then went to a high school.
What were the teachers? Were they African? Were they?
In my primary school, majority were African. When I went to high school, I had one or two Asian teachers. I think the generation with Anwar, they had more Asian teachers, and then by the time my time came, there were more African teachers. They obviously, people were getting more educated, and they started bringing locals into these kind of jobs. Yeah. Brilliant. Did all the subjects and enjoyed everything in school, and then after that went to college.
What was high school like?
High school was good, yeah, because I was the first lot. They tried a new system known as the 844 system. So you had 8 years in primary, 4 years in secondary, and 4 years in university. So it was a totally different system, and we had to do a lot of practical stuff as well. Like we had to make the African hut. So we had to go and fetch all the sticks and the mud and make the hut. And we were assessed on that as well. How to iron a shirt, how to cook a meal, how to clean. So there was a lot involved. It was a very, very vast syllabus. They wanted everything in it so that the children can learn, because in that country children are very independent. you can't rely on somebody else to come and do your stuff for you. So they taught us all these things to be independent.
Wow.
Because there was a lot of children after high school, they would go into boarding schools.
Okay.
So they had to learn all these survival
Skills. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Which was very interesting. I mean, when I come, obviously I work in a school right now here, and I see the difference. There's a big difference. Children here are literally spoon-fed. Their children are so strong, honestly. They find their own ways and they work so hard. Up to now, if there are some villages or some remote places, they don't have electricity or anything, the kids are so keen on learning. They'll have a lamp, they'll have a candle, but they'll still, and they're doing brilliantly, and they'll perform, and the results are amazing, honestly. It's because they don't have these free facilities. You have to pay for education. So I think they appreciate it more than anything. Yeah.
And what about college you was talking?
College, at that time, because in Nakuru we didn't have much happening, so I just went to a local college there called Superior College. It was owned by a Sikh guy, and I did my secretarial course. That was the basic things that most of the girls finished school and went into it. I did it for a few months, and then immediately I got a job at the age of 19.
Wow.
So I was doing part-time college part-time job. So I worked for this insurance agency. I worked there for about 8 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah, long time. Then eventually when we moved to Nairobi.
And was it an African person that owned
No,
the
a Sikh.
Sikh guy.
Yeah,
he
Sikh.
had the travel agency as well.
Yeah, it was a travel agency and an insurance company. Yeah.
Okay.
So we used to do insurances. So worked there for him. I started as a receptionist, then I became his PA, and I progressed like that, and then doing underwriting, and eventually we had to move back to Nairobi, and I had to give up. They didn't
How must that have felt? Because we talk about East Africans doing 2 immigrations, often from Kenya to Pakistan to UK.
Yeah.
But for you, it was still felt like an immigration
Exactly.
from Nakuru to Nairobi. So
to be honest, it was exciting for me because I'm going to the city.
Yeah.
And my sister was already married there. So it was another way of being closer to her, because we were only 2 sisters. So that was an exciting time for me, because Nakuru was getting a bit boring for me, and I couldn't see progression there for myself. And plus for my dad, job opportunities were not as good. So when we moved to Nairobi, I think it opened a lot of corridors for us, and I think that was a good move for me personally.
And what was life like going back to Nairobi?
Nairobi was fun. I mean, I had a job then. In fact, we arrived in October 96 in Nairobi, and in November I got a job. I got a job in the aviation company at Wilson Airport. It was my dad's friend, his company, so I joined there. I started, and I worked there for almost 12 years before I came here. So it was different, totally different field, and it was exciting for me to know how the city life is. Not that I was outgoing or anything, but it was just a different. You had more Asians and more because variety of people there. So it was very different, definitely.
And what was life like? Did you ever manage, growing up, did you ever manage to go on any holidays?
Oh yeah, locally. Oh yeah, because my dad loved traveling. We went a lot to Mombasa, where it's the beach. Went to Masai Mara. My brother works there at the moment. Wow. So we did a lot of traveling. There are beautiful tourist sites there, and the locals as well enjoy the country's beautiful. So we used to travel a lot.
Was it mainly Mombasa that you used to go to?
Mombasa, Masai Mara, Savo. There's so many beautiful places that you can visit, and we did quite a lot of traveling with my dad. And because of the East African Rally, the safari rally.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, my dad was very, very keen on that. So we used to follow these cars everywhere, and we've had a lot of adventures there. Very, very adventures, beautiful adventures and memories that we've made there. At that time, you're young, like you're not caring about anything. you're just having fun, you don't realize. But now if I think back and I think, and I'm doing the same things, and I would be scared, oh my god. But at that time it was so safe, and never worried that we'll be robbed, or you know, how insecure the place was. It was, people were just so polite and really friendly. Obviously things have changed now, population has increased, people are more educated now, there's unemployment, so there are different groups of people now, and obviously even in this country insecurities are increasing because of job losses, so everybody has to be a bit more alert now than before. Yeah.
And so you worked in Nairobi for how many years did you were you there?
I worked there from 96 till 2009. Yeah, 2009. Yeah. So yeah, I was at the same job for that time. Yeah.
What did you used to do for socialising when you was growing up in Nakuru and Nairobi?
In Nakuru, as I said, just meeting up with friends.
When you used to meet them, where would you go? Would you go to each other's houses?
Houses, yeah.
Okay.
Because my mum was a bit strict like that. Like she wouldn't mind us going to our friend's house or my friends coming here. Basically playing. We were such innocent and naive kids, you know, at that time. So it just had dolls, and within at that time they used to make little toys, you know, not it's called a jiko, a barbecue kind of thing. So you're just pretending you're cooking your food, you're playing with toys, you know, dolls, and then as you grew up and then you're going to one another's house, watching a movie night or something like that, those kind of things. Otherwise, the big thing was if there's like a singer or a celebrity coming and we're going out and to watch them, so that was like a big treat.
Yeah.
A very big treat, like Atif Aslam or somebody who comes here. So it was a big treat for us. Yeah,
it would be, I think.
Yeah,
for anyone,
exactly.
Really.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever feel oppressed in any way when you was in, thinking that the boys are getting to do all this and you're not getting to experience life as much? Did you ever feel
Again,
anything?
because we were so naive, we didn't think of it like being oppressed at that point, you know.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that exposure, I guess. Yeah. And when coming to this country now, I see people are more educated and given those kind of rights and all the, you know, it's banged on, you know, that you're equal and all that stuff. At that time, we weren't told anything of that sort, you know. It was normal for the girls to be at home and the boys to go out, and we never complained. My brothers always used to go out, and my sister and I were at home, and we never complained that why the boys going out and we have to stay home. It was normal for us. Yeah.
And you were saying that now you work in a school.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of difference to when you was at school? What kind of differences do you see?
Different. It's very different. You can't shout at the kids, you can't tell them off. It has to be so calm. For us, it was totally different, you know. You made a mistake, you know you're going to face the music. But here, they deal with it so differently. And kids just take teachers and everything for granted, I think. I don't think they're making the most of the education that they're being given here. I just think a lot of it is just being wasted. It's down the drain, honestly. If only they knew what they've got here, I am telling you, they would go far. So if imagine you bring, and I've seen the difference. I've seen kids coming from the asylum seekers, from Rwanda, Burundi in the school, the African kids. And to be honest, the Pakistani kids who have come from Pakistan to here to now.
Yes.
The progression is amazing than the local ones who were born and bred here. Those kids come within a term, they're high up because they know the value of this education. So they work so hard.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So you can see the difference, a lot of difference.
And in Nakuru, when you were studying there, do you think it was just the punishment that was making people work harder, or was it a competitive thing? What do you think?
I think a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I think a mixture of both. Yeah, I think it was a mixture of both, to be honest. Yeah. a lot of competition as well during that time. A lot of competition. And the African kids, were very clever. They were, and the Hindus, they were good in maths. Really, my strong point was I liked geography. I didn't like maths, and it has never sunk in again. But the rest was alright. English, I enjoyed English. Yeah, it depends. I think it was a combination of both, the discipline and the being competitive. Yeah, that made them progress. Yeah.
I know you came to UK at a very later stage.
Yeah.
So you spent quite a lot of your time back in Africa.
Yeah.
If you could, would you go back and stay there, or can you call Rochdale home yet?
To be honest, because I came at a very late stage of my life, it took me a long time to get used to this. And he knows it as well. I used to bug him every other time, what is this? I shouldn't have made this move. I can see the difference because it's taken me a long time. Whereas Anam came and she was only 13, and for her, she tells me, Mum, to be honest, this is more home for me than Kenya.
Yeah.
Because when I sit and think I've spent more time here than in Kenya, I said, you won't understand my point of view because that's where most of my memories are there. So obviously that's my home still. That is my home still. It's going to take me a long time to call it home. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, I like it. There's nothing wrong. I've gotten used to the weather, and I think I've gotten used to the lifestyle. It's just have accepted that this is what it is, and you have to deal with it,
I'm just thinking about it. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what's one of your earliest childhood memories that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
My childhood memories, yeah. Oh, there's so many.
Is there any that you'd like to share with us?
Well, it's when I started learning how to drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that
I remember
like?
my sister got married, and the next few days I had to go to work, and I used to tell my mom, how am I going to get to work? So she says, you can drive. But I never drove because my sister always drove. So I said, no, but I don't know. So she said, here's the car key, take it and go. And in there, the homes there, we have gates, So reversing the car through the gate. And the first thing is, and I told her, just reverse the car for me at least and I can go. She said, no, you're going to learn today. If not today, you'll never do it. So I reversed, and the first thing I do is bang into the gate.
Oh no.
And my mom was so calm. She says, that's what I want you to do.
Oh,
I wanted you to learn yourself. It doesn't matter, it's just a car. It'll be fixed, but I want you to get that fear out of you and you can go. It hit the car.
Was it a manual car?
Yeah, it's a manual car.
And nobody was giving you no lessons?
No.
Wow.
My mom used to teach me how to drive around the estate and then go. So she reversed. She said, it's just a dent. Carry on. And my legs were shaking. She said, it's okay, I'm not coming with you. You're still going on your own. I said, but the car's got a dent, and now if Dad comes home, he's going to shout. I said, don't worry. You just go to work.
Wow.
As long as you get there and call me that you reach safely. And I did, and from that day on, I was...
What about driving license and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, you had to do... I did the lessons was just with my mom, obviously, learnt at home. And then you just go to the test centre. You just drive the toy car on the board. Yeah, literally.
Okay.
Yeah. And they ask you a few questions and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why when I came to this country, to be honest, I had to do my life in UK test. I had to do my driving test. I had to do my English test. So I said, at the age of 40, I'm not doing all this all over again. So it took me a long time to come and do my driving test here because my confidence was like all gone. I said, I went for driving lessons all over again. Well, I've been driving for 20 odd years. Yeah. But the little things, you take for granted, because there are no rules and regulations there. So when I came here, I felt that everybody's looking at me, the cameras are looking at me, everything, I'm being followed, So that confidence was, it took me a long time to start driving here, to be honest. Yeah, I said, oh, I'm being watched. Oops, if I make this mistake, if I jump the red light, there, when it's red, you go. Nobody cares. So those little things, I had to get used to it. Yeah, but I'm getting there now.
You've got that. Do you feel confident enough now to drive?
Yeah, I do.
It all takes a lot of time
It does,
to do changes.
Yeah, it does. It does. So getting back into books and reading and that was like frustrating for me, or doing this test, and I said, okay. But the thing is, I always doubted myself, but then they were not as hard as I thought, so I put myself under that pressure, but then it wasn't that bad after all.
What was the feeling like of thinking that you're going to come to UK? Had you been anywhere later on in life, to different countries?
Yeah, I'd been to the States. I went with Anam to the States for a holiday, and I also visited the UK before, so I knew what it was all about. But I never thought that I would settle down here. Never in my wildest dream did I think I would end up here. So when it happened, it was really fast. I didn't even have time to think, to be honest. Wow. It was really fast. It happened in 2010, and then in June I visited just to see. I didn't bring Anam with me to see how it is. Stayed for 6 weeks because I didn't give up my job yet, so I just came on a visitor's visa just to check around.
And how did you find it was so different to Nairobi, besides the weather?
Exactly. Yeah. It was, luckily when I came, it was summer, it was beautiful. So, and obviously the excitement of knowing getting to know the family, and they were like, having a function for me here and all that. So it was like an exciting moment, not knowing that it's not sinking in that this will be home forever. Yeah, because I knew I'm going back after 6 weeks. So it didn't hit me until when I came back with Anam for good, when I had to pack up everything. That's when it really hit me that I am really going for real.
And so that journey would have been emotionally very, very different.
Very, very emotional, because I had to leave my parents back, my family, my siblings. So that was very hard. And the hardest bit was when I came here in 2012. We arrived in March, and then my mom fell ill, and she passed away then in October 2013. Yeah, so I didn't manage to see her. I couldn't go back because my passport was with the Home Office. Wow. So that was something that I can never forget. Then 2017 my dad visited us, and it took us a long time to persuade him to come to this country, and he said, what am I coming to do here? The weather is horrible. But he came because he was doing this project with some other guys with Ivory belongs to elephants, so they were doing a walk from London to Bristol.
Wow.
Yeah. So that brought him here. So he came and spent 2 weeks with us, which was lovely. That was the most amazing time we had with him. Unfortunately, when he went back from here, he only stayed for 4 months and he passed away. Yeah, he passed away in April. So again, I couldn't get back home for his funeral. So I've missed both my parents that way. But with my dad's time, at least I managed to fly the next day because I had my passport. So I had closure there. But with my mom, I still don't believe that she's no longer there. That was the hard bit. Very, very hard. And it's not the same when I go back because there's no mom or dad there anymore. But the only thing that takes me back is my sister and my brothers, they're the ones out there. I've got many uncles and aunts there. Don't get me wrong.
Are they all in Nairobi?
They're all in Nairobi. They're all in Nairobi. My dad had 7 brothers. One is here in London, and I've got 5. One passed away. 2 passed away. So there are about 3 or 4 of them there, And then I've got my aunts there, my papia. I've got two there now, and one is two are in the States. Yeah, so, but my mom's side of the family, they're all in Pakistan.
Okay.
So
How did that happen that they ended up in Pakistan?
well, my mom came from Pakistan. My dad was born in Kenya.
Yeah.
My grandfather came from Pakistan to Kenya, and then he married my grandma, who was the local lady. Then obviously my dad are
When you say the local lady, what does
the Maasai?
Okay.
Yeah, from Maasai tribe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there were different tribes in Kenya?
Yeah, they're different tribes.
Can you remember anything more
They're
about
Kikuyus, there's the Kalenjin, they're the Maasais, there's Luya, there's Akambas. They're about 44, 43
And are these
tribes.
still quite, is it something that people still follow?
Oh yeah,
now as well?
yeah. Even for them to have interracial marriages
It was a no-no at the time.
It was a no-no
Yeah.
at that time. Even now, like a Kikuyu will not marry a Kalenjin. It's now the modern ones are doing it,
Okay.
yeah. But during those times, it was a very big
So
thing.
your dad from Pakistan,
My
went to-
granddad.
your granddad
My
went to
Kenya,
Kenya.
yeah.
met a wonderful Maasai lady.
Lady, exactly,
And how
yeah.
did all that? Can you did your mum ever tell you any stories about those times and?
My dad, yeah, it's all in his book actually. Yeah, it's all in his book. It's called this From the Land of Pashtuns to the Land of Ma.
Okay.
So that's got the whole story how it came about. Then my mom's dad came to Africa as well, and that's when my nana
Okay.
and he met my dada. They became friends. Then he did the rishta. Then my dad's whole family
Wow.
went by ship to Pakistan to bring my mom.
Yeah.
So that's how my mom's family is all in Pakistan.
Okay.
I only had one uncle who lived in Kenya, but he passed away.
Right.
Yeah, so basically my mom's whole family is in Pakistan. I have my mommy in Nottingham as well. So I have a few relatives here as well, but none in Kenya. My mom's
Okay.
side of the family, none in Kenya.
Just going back to your dad
Yeah.
and the book that he's wrote,
Yeah.
what was the inspiration behind this?
Wow, he wanted to leave his history behind for his grandchildren, and he did a lot of reading and research, and he was very knowledgeable. And one day he just sat. I remember Anam was this little girl, and when I moved in back, she had a computer, so he would tell her, teach me how to use a computer. So Anam used to teach him, now you do this, you do that. Okay. So he then invested in a laptop, because he used to like writing a lot. So one day he says, you know what, I want to write a book. I said, wow, that would be really good. And you won't believe it. With just one finger, he typed this whole book. He was
Wow.
like all night. And he was a passive smoker. So
Yeah.
by the time in the morning, the ashtray used to be this
Wow.
full. And he would just write, and he tried to gather a lot of information from his friends, family. So there's a lot of history in here, and which half of it I didn't know until I read the book, to be honest. So he was an amazing character.
What was your dad's background?
He was the first of the 12 children.
Yeah.
Very big family, so he
Okay.
had a lot of responsibilities.
Because it's not many people that can say that the dads have wrote a book.
Yeah.
What made him choose a title that he chose?
Oh, I think it was just the journey of his dad from Pakistan, from the Peshawar Pashtun to the land of Ma. The land of Ma is where the Maasais live.
Right.
Yeah. So that was his inspiration.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you can just tell us a little bit about? You spoke a little bit about your mum. Can you
Yeah.
tell us something about your dad as well?
Oh,
A little bit more about he wrote the book. That was really inspirational. What did he used to do work-wise?
he worked for Kenya Farmers Association. It's a co-op, and when he came here, and Anwar told him that the co-op was actually started in Rochdale. And
Yes.
yeah. So he worked there for 28 years. He started as a clerk and he ended up as a general manager. Yeah, so he worked really hard. And then when we moved to Nairobi, we both worked in the same company, in the aviation company, in his friend's company. So we worked together for many years when I worked with him. So he loved anything to do with airports, aeroplanes, because one of his brother was an Air Force pilot and he died at a very young age. Yeah, and he's always had that in him, that he wanted to work where he can see planes, and just by sitting in the house, if just from the sound of the aircraft, he knows which aircraft is going. Yeah, so it was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like an amazing man.
He
mashallah.
was.
And I'm really happy for you that he's left this legacy behind.
Exactly. That is the most, I think, important, and I think that's the best thing he's done for us, not only for us and for his grandchildren. Obviously, my mum, my mum came into the family, it took her a long time to adjust to the new environment, because when she came, she saw all black faces, and it was hard for her to adjust, and left her entire family behind. So I feel what my mom went through, I'm going through. It's like history is repeating itself.
Yes.
Like she lived in a country where she had no one, and I'm here now, apart from my child and my husband. I'm living that life that I left my whole family behind and I came here to settle down. But she loved it. Well, I mean, she lived there for over 55, 60 years then, and that was her home then. When she visited Pakistan for the first time, she wouldn't fit in. Literally, her language changed, because our Punjabi is totally different from, because they speak Hinko there. She had forgotten the language completely. Yes. So when she went back, and everybody said, how do you speak your Punjabi? You know, it's totally different. And she said, the Kenya Punjabi is like this, and I've just adopted to that. So it took her a while going back home, but she didn't go as much as she would. I don't think she ever wanted to go that much. Eventually, she just was so comfortable in her home. Yeah.
What do you think made your mum, considering she was born in Pakistan, Hindustan, what do you think made her feel more comfortable calling Africa her home?
I think she lived for her children. I think once she had her children, and she knew these children will never go there. And it's true, only it took me and my sister, when we started our first jobs, at that time, I can't remember the year, the two of us sat and we said, let's go to Pakistan and let's go visit our relatives. We didn't go with my mum, just the two of us went and surprised everybody. Wow. Luckily, we had all their contacts and everything. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a good experience. When we came back, that's when we sent my mum, and she went after 30 years of her marriage.
Wow.
30 years of her marriage, she didn't go. And I think she never looked back. And we asked her this question, and she says, it's because you guys were here, and that was my home, and that's my life now. I mean, that is because everybody's married and they have their own families, and where am I going to go?
What difference did you see from being born in Africa and going back to Pakistan? What kind of cultural differences did you see? Was there any clothing difference or any
definitely,
attitude?
Yeah. And honestly, when we went there, they could tell that we're not from there. The way we walked, the way we talked, I don't know what it was, the clothes. So we had to wear the burqa. What was different with your clothes then? Did you have salwar? What was it? Yeah, we had to wear salwar kameez, and then we had to wear burqa when we went into the pins and everything. And obviously cover our heads and everything. So it was totally different. What kind of clothing did you wear when you was in Africa? Jeans, trousers. Growing up, what about when you were growing up? What was the attire? My dad just liked us wearing. He'd rather we wear jeans and trousers. He didn't like dresses. He says, as long as it's covering your legs, I don't mind anything else. Yeah, you can wear jeans and tops and whatever. Salwar kameez was occasional, Eid hui or function, weddings, something like that. But generally, when I'm going to work, I would wear smart trousers and a top or anything like that. And to date, I do the same thing. That's my attire, and only when I have to go to my in-laws, probably sometimes look a bit decent, or functions or anything. Yeah, then you just wear salwar kameez. Yeah. So I mean, that was a culture shock when I came here. Like sometimes. Obviously, I like wearing my jeans and my trousers, and at times I could feel that a few people would think, for her age, she should be wearing these clothes and or something. I don't judge anyone, and nobody should judge me for that.
Did you feel any kind of animosity or difference with how different communities treated you when you came to UK, even after so many years?
To be honest, I'll be very honest, I have not mingled a lot, apart from my family. The only place we socialize is my in-laws. We have a little setup that every Saturday we go to each other's house. So I've not ventured out as such. Apart from my job, I have my friends, and then I have my family. So I haven't gone to functions or community functions, or I have not ventured there, to be honest. So I don't know what kind of treatment I would get. To be honest, I wouldn't
You've
say
kept
that.
yourself away
Yes,
from
I have.
kind of situations where people could be judging, which they can do. Yeah. What about food? Growing up, what kind of foods did you used to have?
Typical Asian food. My mom would make salan, roti, the local food, which is the greens, the sukuma, ugali, and meat. Generally, whatever we eat here, palak, pindi, you would get every kind of vegetable there, and so it was not very different from there. Obviously, the taste of the meat and the sabzi is slightly different because there is all organic and it's all fresh. But when I came to this country, I mean, I was surprised the variety you get here. It's amazing. It's some of the things I've never seen in Africa. That what is that called? You know that the vegetable they brought from Birmingham. I've never had that. It's like a cassava. It's a root vegetable. I can't remember what it's called, but I've never had it in Africa, and I saw it here, so it was something.
And yet
different.
it was an African.
I think it's quite similar.
Right.
It's quite similar. It's a root vegetable, I think. Yeah, I've never seen it there. So.
Brilliant. Excellent. I wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.